Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regenerative Business Podcast with Sam Garcia. And today we're going to be talking about or looking behind the scenes at my most recent free event called Money on Repeat, which has been undoubtedly my most successful launch event to date. So I love debriefing on here and talking about what worked and what didn't. And I love being able to share that with you. So let us dive in. And I want to start with, how did this come to be? So I knew that I wanted to do a relaunch, a public launch of my membership, the Regenerative Business Ecosystem, in January 2026. I hadn't done a full public launch since July 2025. So it was like a long time coming, needed to happen. And there was absolutely a rush of New Year energy at the beginning of January. And I was like, what is this feeling? What am I feeling in my body? And I checked with one of my astrologer friends, Robin from Wicked Veracity. And I was like, I'm feeling lots of energy. Is this a good time to launch? And she gave me some launch dates and I hit the ground running. And this is a very me thing. I wouldn't say that this is a replicable thing per se, but I just wanted to share some behind the scenes around it that you could take or leave. I've found that if I have energy for something, I need to jump on that energy. I don't know if it's a human design manifestor thing or a ADHD thing or something else, a Sam thing, but my energy and motivation for something, it's not like something I can put off. It's like I either ride this wave now or it may never come back. So that's a bit of my blueprint of like, oh, if I'm excited about something, I need to do it and I need to do it now and I need to be all in on it. This came on so fast at the beginning of January. And so first thing I did, which is one of my favorite ways of coming up with new workshop topics, is I polled my Instagram stories audience. I've talked about this before. We talk about this in Mini Offer Madness, but I put up a poll in my Instagram stories with, I want to do this new free valuable thing. Tell me what you're really craving right now, what you're really craving for 2026. And I gave some options. One was like double your revenue for 2026. There were two more. And then the fourth one was predictable revenue. And I was surprised by a landslide, the predictable revenue one. And I worded it better. It was like predictable monthly revenue that I can rely on. So many people said that that's what they craved. And I was surprised. I thought it was going to be like double your revenue. So with that, I moved forward and was like, great, let's make this a thing. Now, if you've been watching me for years, you know that I typically do a pre-recorded workshop as my launch event for new things coming out. And Money on Repeat was very different. Because this was for my membership, which has a community element to it and interaction with me as a part of it, I knew that I wanted some live aspects. I wanted a group aspect, and I wanted to bake that into the free event. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a 5-day thing. So I decided on 5 trainings with office hours. I ended up doing 5 office hours, and we'll talk about what we will change next time for future ones. But I did 5 trainings. So daily trainings Monday through Friday, daily office hours Monday through Friday, and then a pop-up Facebook group that was open that Monday through Friday. And so I promoted that from January 5th, 2026, which was like a few days after coming up with the idea. I just was like pedal to the metal. I need to create a page for this and a welcome email for this. And we'll go from there through January 12th. So I actually promoted less than I like to. I only had 7 days of promotion for it when I really like to do 10 days of promotion for a free thing that's going to be live. But I was running out of time and I worked with what I had. I actually only sent 4 emails promoting it. Oh, kidding. I only sent 3 emails promoting the free event. I'll usually send 4 or 5. So I sent less than normal. And then I did post 7 posts on Instagram. So daily posts for that 7-day period. And all in all, we had about 1,100 people sign up for the event, which is pretty on par. That's just about the same as what I usually get for my free launch events, or at least I have been since July 2024. And I'm actually really excited about this because I actually promoted less than I usually do and in a shorter time span. Okay, but let me actually take a step back. I went full steam ahead on logistics, but there are some things that I did do that I wanted to mention before all of the logistics started happening. So I did the poll And we knew the underlying message behind the free event of predictable monthly revenue that you can rely on. Ugh, so nice. And then I went to coming up with an actual name. Now, names and subtitles, I spend a lot of time on. I will spend days thinking about what can I call this? I will talk to people in my circles. I will think about it with people on my team. I'll come up with like 20 different names and different variations on names. I find that if you can really capture the essence of something or make something sound really juicy just in the name and subtitle, it's way easier to promote because people can hit the opt-in page and they don't actually have to read it. They can be like, yep, sounds good, and then fill out the form. I was going to call it Sexy Steady Money, and I think that's like a great backup alternative, but Money on Repeat, when I was sitting with it, just felt way more clear. And I did use the term that people voted for in the poll in the subtitle because why not just give the people what they asked for? And it honestly didn't feel like my best subtitle. It was just a free 5-day experience to build predictable monthly income you can rely on. And now, what I feel like was one of the most important pieces of how this did so well, or what made it feel so easy, linking it to a story of mine. And this has been consistent with almost all of my free launch events. When I did deconstructing my first 94K cash month, when I did behind the scenes of my $40,000 lazy launch. This is a very common thing I do just because it works so well. And I think it'll work even better in the way that social media is changing, especially in the way that like TikTok has shaped all of our brains and all the other social media channels. People are more and more curious about you and your uniqueness and your unique stories and how you do things differently and behind the scenes, how you do something as this unique person. I'm seeing more and more that type of content does the best. And we're also nosy, so it makes sense. And so the story behind Money on Repeat that was my anchor story was I've had predictable income since day one of my business. This year I have $511,200 on the books. So in 2026, I have over $500,000 already on the books. That means if I do 0 launches and turn off all my ad funnels, then that money will still come in. And if I stack on my planned bare minimum launches, I predict 904,203 conservatively. And if I also layer on my ad funnels, I should be at over $1 million. Though that could be way, way higher if I choose to spend a bit more energy on my ads versus checking them a couple times a month with no new programs or crazy marketing campaigns. This is just my predictable baseline. This story, this realization actually came because a friend of mine posted in a group that I'm in saying, oh, I have $90,000 already on the books for 2026. That wasn't her wording. I can't remember how she worded it, but I saw that and I was like, oh, that is so cool. Like you're going into the year with payment plans, with clients, with long-term containers. And because of that, you know how much money you're already going into the year with. And I was like, wait a minute, I can probably calculate that number for myself. And when I did, and when I realized it was over $500,000, I was like, wow, well, that's impressive. That is so cool. I'm so proud of myself. And it felt a little scary to share, which is usually a message for me that I probably need to share it. It's a bit of a remarkable story, which is one of my favorite ideas around how messages go viral. Not to say that my message went viral, but the things that tend to do well on social media are things that are remarkable, things that you would remark on. So I now have this anchor story, and it was a little bit of luck here where this realization I had paired up so well with the Money on Repeat predictable revenue messaging. If that wasn't the case, I would have found other examples of how my business has been incredibly predictable over the years, and I would have used specific examples. Or I could have told stories like what I did with 10x visibility without social media. That one, the stories I told, the anchor stories I told were more stories from many, many clients. So there was a little bit of timing and luck here. But if I didn't have this story from this random post that I saw in a Facebook group I'm in, then I would have found another story of mine that would have aligned with the message of Money on Repeat. Okay, so from there, we did our poll. We decided on the underlying theme of the 5 days. I knew the general logistics because I wanted something more interactive so that it aligned with what I was actually going to be selling, which was the membership. I had my anchor story. I decided on the name. And now, something I usually don't do, but I will now do this from now on, is I went all out on vibes and branding for Money on Repeat. I haven't done a photo shoot since the end of 2024. So I've used a lot of my like quote unquote professional photos all over the place many times, which is fine, which is perfect. But I wanted something fresh. So I decided to do a little personal photo shoot that I did with myself alone with a tripod. And if you're in Sacred Attraction Formula or copywriting alchemy, you know that one of the copywriting things, messaging things I always turn to at some point in a launch or when I'm sharing content is metaphor, with regenerative business being like a core element of my business in general, that the message of regenerative business, a lot of my metaphors are nature-based. And so when I was tuning into the energy of money on repeat, just something that you could rely on that's so consistent, the metaphor I really liked for this was a river. And I happen to have a river on my property. And in past photo shoots I wanted to do this like in the water submersion photos situation that I've never actually done. And I was like, fuck it, we're doing it. So I put on a cute outfit that felt in the vibe of, in like on brand colors with my general business branding. And I put on some jewelry and I walked to the river with a tripod and my phone. And over the course of 30 minutes, an hour, I kept on taking different like 1 to 2 minute videos of slowly getting more and more into the river, because I knew that screen grabs are absolutely enough when it comes to having photos. And it's way easier if you're doing like solo photo shoots or trying to get a photo, doing like that like 3-second timer where you're having to touch it and then get into place. It's just way easier if you just take a video and then you screenshot the video. It's not going to be very high resolution, but I don't need that for my purposes. So I got a bunch of these cool videos of me submersing myself in the river with my clothes on. And then while I was in there, I also did a little talking head moment video of talking about the energy of money on repeat and the river and the story of the river. And so suddenly I had all of this fresh branding and photos that I could be using in promoting money on repeat. Plus it was just really, really fun. I had so much fun being silly and being like, this is ridiculous. I am fully clothed, submerging myself on a Tuesday afternoon. I loved it so much. And it was so easy. It was just so simple. It took less than an hour and suddenly I had a bunch of photos I could use. So those were all the things that prepared me for it. And I've already explained the setup, where it was 5 days of training. Each of the days were themed of different topics I wanted to talk on. Each of the days we had an office hour the same time of day. There was a Facebook group every day. And then I also decided to send out a survey every day with incentive of, if you fill out this survey every single day, then you'll be entered in to win a free coaching session with me or a private coaching session with me, which you can't even buy. And so I had all of these responses that could be used as testimonials. And I gave them the option of, can I use this as a testimonial with your name or shared anonymously, or no, you can't use this as a testimonial. So I got consent. And now we have like hundreds of testimonials on this money on repeat training, which will now be repurposed as a mini course that we're probably going to sell for $500. And I did go into it being like, ooh, is this going to be too much? Because it was like from January 1st, I started being like, oh my gosh, I want to do a free event, to January 5th announcing it. And so I had to create an opt-in page and a thank you page and a welcome email. Then on January 12th, video 1 had to be ready, and being in the Facebook group and daily office hours, I was like a little nervous that I was like, am I asking too much of myself? But in the middle of it and at the end of it, I was looking back and being like, I did such a good job. I did such a good job taking care of myself during this. I do have a team, so they helped with video editing and creating transcripts and supporting me on the live calls. I made sure to clear the rest of my calendar, so that was the only focus for the week. I was doing daily walks and I was still on my exercise routine and I was eating well and I was doing daily meditation and have been for weeks. I had a really great baseline of health and vitality there to work off of. And so in terms of the actual enrollment period for the membership, I opened doors on January 12th with an early bird price, and then the early bird price expired on January 16th. So the 5 days that the live event was happening, the early bird was open. And what I loved about this is it was so fucking clear how successful Money on Repeat did, because I knew the exact conversion rate of people who were in there who signed up during the early bird, and people telling me in the group being like, this experience has me saying yes to the membership. So there's something so satisfying, because sometimes I'm sure you've experienced this when you are like promoting on email and social media and over here and over there, and people are referring you to whatever, blah, blah, blah. You sometimes are like, what of these things that I'm doing are working? What in here is working? And I know it's all working together, but it was just so nice to be like, this challenge and getting people into this 5-day experience turned into this direct result. And it just felt so good. It felt so clear. I'm going to do something like this again for sure in March. I'm already starting to plan it way ahead of time. Instead of having like a 10-day turnaround period or a 5-day turnaround period, I'm going to have a 2-month turnaround period. So I'm getting ahead of it. But when we do this again in March on a different topic, I'll probably not have my early bird end on the last day. Maybe I will. I'm still sitting with that piece of it. It might be nicer to have the early bird either start before the actual live event or end after the live event. It was like everything happening at once, and I might have overloaded people with trainings and live calls and also making decisions to join the membership. But now that I'm even talking this out, I'm like, it worked well before. Why not just do the exact same thing again with no changes? Okay, so with that, I did want to mention things that I will change next time. And I was talking with Jamie on my team about this, of what she was experiencing on her end. And she's still going through all of the survey answers with all the testimonials from it. And for sure going to do the pop-up Facebook group. There's just so much energy and support in there and people connecting with one another. For sure going to do, I was like, oh, maybe I should do less office hours, but I'm so happy that I did daily office hours every day and being in the live energy of it every single day. It just added so much. And I will have to say that that is one of my zones of genius, showing up for live Q&A. It's not draining for me at all. I can go for 3 hours straight without getting tired. And other people might be different, where live Q&A might be the thing that you hate the most and you'd rather have questions ahead of time or pre-record something, which is fine. It's just live Q&A is definitely like zone of genius thing for me. I'll probably scale back the trainings. The trainings were like between 25 and 40 minutes a day. And having that for 5 days straight, again, it worked. It worked so well, but I think it was a little too much. I think next time we'll do like 2 to 3 days of video trainings, and then the other 2 to 3 days will be like PDFs or audios or workbooks or something. So it's more integrative. There's less videos that you have to watch on a daily basis to stay up with the material. But honestly, that's the only thing I'd change, and change the lead up. This is something I can plan ahead for and do a ton of it ahead of time. And when I am able to do more ahead of time, it means I can delegate more. So less will be on my plate. I can just show up for what I need to show up for. And so it was a total success. I hope that you got some nuggets out of this. And I'm already thinking about our next one. So in March, when we're going to be opening up the doors to launch Alchemy, which is the new name for Sacred Attraction Formula. And we're going to do another 5-day live experience. I already polled my people around this, and the topic is going to be around like the secrets of high conversion rates. I'll come up with a better title for that. But even if you have a small audience, how to get a great conversion rate. And if you have a bigger audience, how to make it so that you're above average conversion rates. And that's going to be really cool. So stay tuned for that. That'll be sometime in March. But if you got any nuggets from this, please let me know. DM me on Instagram. If you loved this and you want me to do more like this, then screenshot this podcast and share it on Instagram and tag me on there. That is such an amazing way of sharing the show and lets me know which episodes you like. And I'll talk to you soon.